Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge Reviews.
Castle Panic is one of my favorite go-to family weight games. It is the cooperative family game to me and probably #1 on that list. It's very easy to understand. I'm able to play with my very young kids as young as 6 and 7. I've been able to play it and I kind of manage the game and we have a really good time, and there are a ton of expansions for you to add into this. Now this game has had plenty of sequels like Star Trek Panic and Dead Panic, but I really feel like Castle Panic is where you should start. It gives you the most expansions, things you can add in, modules that you can kind of come and go as you see fit. It also has this most simplistic of gameplay. I really like Castle Panic and how it takes this fantasy generic theme and puts you in that tower defense. This is the definitive tower defense game to me, and it accomplishes that. What you do on your turn, the cards are all face up, and you're able to see and negotiate with the other players on what you want to do. And it becomes kind of this puzzle. Okay, so I'm going to do this on my turn. On your turn, you're going to set this up. And there's a whole conversation that goes on with the family. It's not like I'm holding back or lying. You want to plan this stuff out, and you need to plan this stuff out. Now, with less players, I feel like it's a little bit easier to get those plans in the works. With more players, it just adds layers and onion to this game. The game is super, super simple for kids to be able to play on their own and figure out and play. Why this isn't a mass market game, I don't know. This is a game I feel like every family should have or at least try out. I feel like this is one of those definitive family weight cooperative games that every family should have in their collection. This should be with the Ticket to Rides, possibly the Carcassones, the Pandemics. This should be right in there. And I feel like this is a little bit better for families than Pandemic. You get a better theme. I think you have an easier gameplay. Although Pandemic is amazing also. This is one I highly, highly recommend for the planning, the family weight, the cooperative nature, the discussion that's going to happen at the table, and you want everybody kind of working together, but it keeps everything on a simplistic nature. This is by far one of my favorite games. Castle Panic, I highly, highly recommend to you. For you gamers out there, yes, it's a little bit simplistic. This is something you play with your family. But if you kind of like this weight, this Ticket to Ride level weight, this is going to be a huge hit for you. Okay, so let's take a look at the components here. You're going to get these little walls and towers. And these things just seem like they slip off all the time. They're okay. These are very good quality. I've had this game for quite a while. Some of these, sometimes they produce these, are really hard to get on. These tend to be really easy, maybe too easy. These tiles are really good. You could put them in a bag. A bag is not supplied, but I just kind of put them face down on there like you can see. And I haven't had any of these over the years. I've had this game for a long time. Chips, you can see what's on the back or anything, so they've come off really well. I do like these cards. You know, they're not the best quality, so you say Castle Panic on the back. Very easy to see. You're going to have the colors, you're going to have the words, everything. You know, it kind of helps you with color blindness, I suppose, that you can read it. It is language independent from the picture and the colors used, if so far. I do kind of wish that maybe the rules of the tiles were on them, but they're used, most of them are, except for the giant boulder. You do have a nice board here, which is really just a circle. They do a lot to keep the forest. You can kind of see what they're doing here. You do have the order of play here. You do have the rules for the special monsters over here. So a lot of what you need is actually printed on the board. I find everything to be pretty good quality. This was printed quite a few years ago, and they're doing a new version, the big box edition. But everything that's here is fairly nice. And as you can see, it's held up pretty darn well over the years. I had this game for quite a few years and played it quite a bit. I'm very impressed. So let's take a look at the rule book here. You're going to have the components and pictures of those. There are 3 versions in the game, which I don't really like, but it really works in this game. You're going to have setup over here with a picture that's included, very handy, hand size for different players, and then it kind of starts on the same place with a page on how to play, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it does work. You're going to go through this. You're going to play your cards. This is going to be the main thing of what you're doing to move the monsters. Here's the end of the game and how to score, and a little bit of strategy if you want to play the competitive version. They're going to have a sample turn, which is great. You used to see this a lot more than you do nowadays. And then it's going to go into details about playing cards, how to slay monsters, and things like that. And then how these are the 4 boss monsters that you have come in, and kind of how a list of how the tokens will work. And then you're going to find the co-op variant down here that you can use, which I think is my preferred method of playing. An overlord if somebody wanted to be the bad guy, and some optional rules to make it harder or easier, you know, if you're playing with little ones or more of an adult game. And then you have a summary. Now, the summary has some small font on it for sure. Very difficult to read, but once you kind of know what you're doing, this is a very helpful page to have. Rulebook was excellent. Very good game, very good rulebook. No problems. So here's the game set up. You're going to have the wall centered around and the towers in each of the inner triangles. You're going to have 3 goblins, 2 orcs, and a troll randomly set aside, 1 in each zone in the archer area. Then each player will have a number of cards based on the number of players. The first thing you can do is you can discard a card that you don't want, and you can draw a card off the top of the deck, and this will be coming into your hand now. Then you can trade with somebody else. So say I don't need a swordsman right now. I can trade that with somebody else, possibly getting a card that I need. Maybe in that respect, maybe I would need an archer card for the round. And then I can play as many cards as I want. So in this case, I'd play a blue archer, and I could damage the blue archer. Now, it's important to note that this guy has 2 damage. If you damage him, he just turns to 1. If you were to damage him again, then he would come off the board. So I will do 1 damage to him. Then I would have another blue archer. I could play another one, and maybe I just want to eliminate him off the board completely. Then I have a green archer card, which I could use just to kill this goblin. He only has 1 damage, so maybe I'll go ahead and get him off the board. I do have an additional blue archer, which I can use here, and I would damage him once. I have a red archer, which I could use to just maybe get rid of this goblin here, just get rid of him completely. Now I have a knight and a swordsman, which I can't use because there isn't anybody in the knight or swordsman areas around the board, so that would effectively mean I can't play any more cards. Then all of the monsters would move a spot closer, and then we would draw 2 additional monsters. If you draw one that is an additional monster, very easy, roll the dice, and you put them out in the forest in that area. If you get something like this, it says move all red monsters, then you would just move the monsters 1 spot closer in that area. There may be some that say move the blue monsters. There may be some that do different things. Like here, all players discard 1 card. What also is important is this boulder. And what you're going to do with this boulder is you're going to roll it. And let's say it came up with 3. Then what would happen is the boulder would come through, killing all of the bad guys in an area until it hits either the wall or the tower. And when it hits it, it will end. But it'll knock through everything in that area. If the monsters ever make it up here to the wall, let's say this guy had 3 strength, he made it to the wall, you would turn him once, and the wall would disappear. Then on the next turn, he would move again inside here, hitting this and taking 1 damage. Now, if they ever move inside the circle, the normal cards will not be able to affect this, and it will continue to move each turn, wiping these towers out. If all the towers ever get wiped out, you lose. You win by taking out all of the monsters that will come out in the game. It is important to note that there are some cards with this tower symbol on it, and these are the only ones that can affect the inner circle. So if you don't have those cards, you need to get to them. Sometimes you'll churn through the deck just to get to these cards so you can move if somebody's inside there. If you have these cards, they're very, very important to hang on to. So this one says move 1 monster back to the forest. So if he was in here, you can move him all the way back to the forest and have another shot at him before he gets into the inner circle. And then, so let me go over the order of play. The first thing you're going to do, if you only had 2 cards in your hand, let's say, like our example, then at the beginning of the next turn, what you would do is you would draw back up to your hand limit. Let's say you're playing a 2-player game with 6. Then you can discard 1 if you wanted to. That's optionally. And draw another card. I can trade with another player. Let's say I want to get rid of this brick. And he's going to give me an archer card. Then I play my cards, move the monsters, and then add 2 more to the board. There's one other card I kind of want to show you, which is the brick and mortar card. These are very, very important. If a player has both of these, you can play these together, and you can add another wall back here. There aren't any ways to build the towers back, but you definitely can build the walls back, which gives you a line of defense. Now, there's also a fortification card that we can put fortifications on the wall. This just gives the wall an additional hit point. So, if a goblin were to come up, or one of the bad guys, and hit it, it would take 1 damage. And instead of destroying the wall, the fortification would just come off. So there's a little bit of things going on here in order to play Castle Panic. It's also important to notate that there are different types of these guys that come out. Here's the Goblin King and the Troll Mage. And they will do different things as they come out. and react differently. They might move everybody, or they might add additional monsters to the board quickly. So these will be coming out. I think there's one for each type, 4 different one of these like bosses that will come out, and they'll be able to do nasty things to the players. Now, at the end of the base game, what's going to happen if you have one of these bosses, you're going to get 4 points for each one that you killed. Trolls will be worth 3. Orcs will be worth 2 points. And the lowly goblins will be worth 1 point. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Now, the way I normally play this is the co-op variant. We just all work together to see who can play, and we just try to beat the board. It is the easier way to play, but it's my preferred method. There is also an overlord where somebody can play as the monsters. So what you're going to do on your turn is move the monster, and you're going to have a hand of 3 of these tiles that you can play. So your choice would be to play 1, but place it wherever you want. Or you can choose 2 monsters, 2 monster effects, or 1 of each, and then you would roll the die and put it out. So you have a choice of, do you want to choose where this thing goes, where this goblin would go, or do you want to let fate decide it? But if you let fate decide, you can put more of them out. So that's kind of how that would work. There's also a solo variant where you can have 6 cards in your hand, and when you, instead of discarding 1 card, you can discard 2, which takes the place of the trade. So this is a very good solo version of the game, one that I enjoy quite a bit. This is something I have no problem playing. Now, to be honest, I'd probably play 2 hands if I were going to play solo, but you could discard and draw and get that random card. Put you at a small disadvantage, but then you'd be basically just playing the co-op version at that point. Who should buy this game? I feel like every family should have this game. This game is that good and that powerful. If you're introducing people to the hobby and you want a cooperative game, sure, Pandemic can do that, but so can this game. It's a very fun game. So a little bit more nerdy with the fantasy stuff, a little bit more geeky than, say, Pandemic, which has a wider range theme, I think. But this game, from a gameplay point of view, people are going to understand matching the colors and matching the areas of the board. I also feel like kids can learn this game, play it very easily, and be able to stay into it, and even play it with their friends and be able to teach this game. Then if you want more layers to it, you can add in the expansion. This one is a huge hit that I feel like most people, if not everyone, should have in their closet, their board game closet, their board game shelf to pull out for light nights, that you want to have a lighter game, for family weight games, and for new gamers. This is a great hit and one I super, super recommend. Thanks for watching the video. I really appreciate you tuning in. If you liked it, please like it and hit that little subscribe button. That really helps out the channel, lets us know that you're getting the videos that you want. If you agreed or disagree with what I said, feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear what you have to say, and I promise that I will comment back. Thanks for watching, and everybody else, keep playing.